Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us today.
This is Keshler.
And this is Right Now, and you're listening to My Reason Why, where we explore people's journeys that led them to where they are today.
Every believer has a reason for the faith that they hold, and we would like to explore their reason why.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of My Reason Why. You may be wondering why you are hearing a different voice other than our amazing host, Raynell and Keshler. My name is Chanel. I am the editor of this podcast, and today we have a very special episode with my dad. Say hi, Dad.
Hello.
So today we are going to be hearing from my dad and his story because he has a very, very interesting testimony. But before we get into that, we are going to start with our Would You Rather game. So today's Would You Rather is, would you rather be Leah or Rachel? So for those who don't know, there is a man named Jacob in the Bible, and he fell in love with Rachel. But to his surprise, on his wedding day, after he worked for 7 years for Rachel, he woke up next to Leah. Then he spent the next 7 years trying to earn Rachel. So, my question for you, Dad, is would you rather be Leah or Rachel?
I'd rather be Jacob, but just to answer your question, I think I would rather be Rachel because I think because Rachel was chosen by Jacob. That's the main reason, I think. Leah wasn't chosen. Rachel was the chosen one.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree. Because although Leah was the one who married Jacob first and she had most of his children, Rachel was the one that he loved. That was his heart. That's the one he actually worked for. So yeah, I would rather be Rachel, even though I'm sure it's not nice watching your sister be married to your husband. But we can go ahead and get started in our interview. So our first question is, who is God to you? But I want you to speak about this in the different stages of your life. So let's go back to childhood. Who was God to you in your childhood?
Yeah, God to me when I was growing up, I would say he was my everything, even though I didn't appreciate him like I do now. But I believe God, by looking back, I could see that he was guiding, he was protecting me all this time. Because even though I grew up in church, I didn't believe I have church in me. But I did have a praying mom, and I'm somewhat the wild card, the wild child somewhat, and my mom prayed for me a lot. And so I believe God knew what I would become now. So I believe God was protecting me back then. That's what I believe God was for me when I was growing up, my protector.
Okay, good. So we have protector during childhood. Now we're going to go through the wild card days. And I'm going to ask you to go in detail because the people have to know how God really comes through for you in your later on in life. So they have to know the messy part. So during your wild card days, be specific. So be specific about the wild stuff, and then tell me who God was to you during those years.
I don't know if I want to, but I could give you some of it. I don't think you have much time for me to give you the full story of my wild card days. But even I was the type of child, I could remember, this is what I remember when I was going to church with my mom. The ladies used to catch the Holy Spirit. I was always a child in the back of the church giving trouble, but as soon as the Holy Spirit hit these ladies, I'm at the front of the church. Not to get the Holy Spirit. Please, it's under the blood, so not to get the Holy Spirit, but these ladies would start rolling on the floor in the church, and the nurses or ushers, whoever those people with them sheets, wasn't fast enough to cover these ladies up properly. So I was up front at the church trying to get my peak on. That's one of my wild child days in church. It's I'm not proud of it, but you ask for the truth. Um, I couldn't wait to become of a certain age because I know as soon as I become of a certain age, I won't be going back to church with my mom. Because every Sunday, it wasn't, it was my brother, he was always ready to go to church. I thought he would be a preacher a long time ago. But for me and my mom, we get into it for her to get me to church. So as soon as I become maybe 16, 17, I decided I no longer want to go to church. I started to hang out with the wrong crowd. You know, on a Sunday when my mom is in church, I'm in the community, roaming the community with my friends and getting into all types of different troubles that we could get into at that time. So I don't know if you want me to go in depth more about that part of my growing up, but it started from 16, 17 when I walked out of the church and started bumping heads with the wrong crowd, and it just led on from there.
Okay, so you mentioned that you started hanging out with the wrong crowd. So what do you think that this crowd was providing to you or giving to you that you felt like you weren't getting anywhere else? So church or home, like what do you think was the purpose for hanging out with these people?
Yeah, that's a next good question. I don't know. I just think we connected. What I wanted, they had. What I wanted to do, they were doing. The stuff. It's not like they led me in wrong. I always wanted to do wrong a little bit. You know what I mean? So it's just we have that type of connection where it's just that they doing wrong, I want to do wrong, and I find a group of people who's going to do the same thing I want to do. And when I was going to church, I was still with these people, but not so much. And you know, I always feel guilty doing wrong on my own. So when I find a group of people doing wrong, I don't feel that much guilt anymore. So I feel like I find my lane, I find my posse, I find my company that I could do wrong, that it seems okay because we talk like it was okay. But no, not looking back, I know it was straight up stupid.
Okay, so I do want you to get specific a little bit. So you said that they were doing things that you wanted to do because they had things that you wanted. So could you just be a little more specific? Like what were they doing and what exactly did you want out of it?
Okay, well, I'm always fascinated with girls. And you know, I had a friend. I use the word had because he passed away now. That he was that guy, you know, he was that guy, and so he led me more into that part of my life because I was even somewhat shy sometimes, and so with him by my side, I'd be more bold. You know what I mean? So being specific, if he had a girlfriend, he would try to hook me up with the sister. Or if she had a friend, he would hook me up with the friend, that type of relationship. And I liked that. I liked that type of thing because I was always into girls. From I was real young, I always liked girls. You know what I mean? And as far as I can remember, I that was one of my thing that I know, like, ooh, you know, I like what I see all the time. And so that was one of the things. The next thing, fighting. This guy liked to fight. And I always get in fights because I always have to defend my younger brother. I always have to defend my sisters, whether they are bigger or smaller. you touch one of my sisters, I'm getting into a fight. I don't always win, but I'm going to get into a fight. I'm going to defend my family. And so when I started to, roll with this guy, he's a straight up fighter. He got everything that I wanted. It was all in him. You know, he liked girls and he liked to fight and he be winning the fights. So I was drawn to him like that, and so we built our little crew back then, and so we would get in a lot of fights and we would have a lot of girls. So it's kind of awkward because you're my daughter, but you just asked for the truth. And so that was what that time growing up was like, back then.
Okay. All right. So we've done childhood. We've done a bit of teenage. So I'm going to fast forward to fatherhood, right? Because you are a father, obviously. I am one of 5. I have an older sister, an older brother. I'm the middle child. And I have 2 younger brothers. So now you have children. And I want to talk about what that transition was like for you. So you could talk about the feelings you were having knowing that you were going to become a father for the first time. And then I also want to know if God was a thought at that time when you were about to be a father.
Yeah, fatherhood was great. I loved it, but it's a funny story how I get into fatherhood. You all not gonna believe the story. As I said, I'm not the only wild one. My friends was wild, right? We all have the same mentality, just a bunch of us. And so I have friends that have children already. And my younger brother had his first child when he was 17. And back in Jamaica, when you have relatives in America and they come in, to Jamaica, they would bring baby clothes and stuff like that. And so one day I was sitting in my house with my brother, and my brother gets some stuff from America, baby stuff for his son. And so my cousin, which is older than me, she a grown woman at that time, she was like, "What's wrong with you? How comes?" She was actually making fun of me in the sense, not in a fun we are hater for, no, just the fun like, "What's going on? Your little brother, he younger than you. You ain't, what's going on? You firing blanks?" That's the word they would use. You firing blanks, that type of situation. And then my friends on Father's Day, they would come on what we would call the corner with their kids. And they would what we would call like brag. Like, "Yeah, y'all say y'all this, y'all say y'all that, you ain't got no kids." And they would do the same type of thing. So those are the things that actually pushed me into fatherhood. But then when your sister was born, it was a totally different, I don't know. I think someone have to experience that feeling to know what it feels like, because it's nothing I could explain. You know what I mean? And so when your sister was born, now it comes to being responsible, because I had your sister when I was 22. So I was pretty young. And so when she was born, it pushed me more into responsibility. And so that's when I think my real struggle starts. Happiness, blessing, but that's when my real struggle starts, because I don't know what a father is, and I didn't know exactly what to do. And so it becomes a struggle, but eventually I believe I figured it out.
Okay, I want to talk about that responsibility a little bit, because I remember being a child. Well, I remember as a child, there was a period where you weren't there, or I would hear you on the phone, and I remember experiences like my mom would say, "We're going to see your dad," and I would be like, "Oh my gosh, yay!" And I was kind of one of those naive children who didn't really ask too much questions. I just kind of went with things. Mm-hmm. And I remember going, seeing Daddy, coming back home. I also remember when you did live with us, always getting what I wanted in terms of like money and stuff. Like, you know, oh, I need this. And you'd be like, go grab my jeans, go grab my pants, you know? Right. So I remember also being able to be like, yeah, I just asked my daddy whatever it was, and I was going to get it money-wise. So you mentioned being responsible. In what ways did you think, how did you think of responsibility? What was that to you at that time?
Yeah, next good question. To me, back then, being responsible meaning getting it how I get it. Not saying people don't get it the traditional way, but by then, by the time you came, I was already a vet in being wrong. I didn't need a leader to be wrong no more. I was already wrong. You know what I mean? But it's like being, I don't know if I could use these two words at the same time. It's like being responsible and irresponsible at the same time. You know what I mean? Responsible meaning, sure, I'm going to do anything. That's the mindset I have. I'm going to do anything, whatever it takes to take care of mine. You know, but being irresponsible means to me was the way I was going to get it. You know what I mean? Work was too slow. You know, I want to get my children the best, not knowing that I could work hard and still give them the best and still be there for them permanently. So I used to just get it how I see fit, you know? And to me, that was me being responsible because that was what I know. No, where God is concerned, in all my wrongdoings, I am the weirdest guy you will ever meet. In all my wrongdoings, I am praying to this God. In all my wrongdoings, I am praying to this God. I am when I have the stuff that I shouldn't have I'm praying to this God. You know what I mean? When I'm drinking, because drinking and driving was like a normal thing for us. It wasn't like, oh, you irresponsible. Oh no, what you want me to do if I go to this party? Drink water? We don't have no designated driver. We are the driver, you know what I mean? And so it's like you love your children, and you know, you mentioned when you ask for anything. My girls ask for anything. They get it. You know what I mean? The boys, it's a lot tougher. But the girls, and you know, you was small then, you probably don't know, but they used you a lot. They was like, go to your daddy. And, you know, you softened my heart. And so I take total responsibility for the way I lived that life. And I don't know, you know, people use words like they don't regret, but I kind of regret some of that actions that I do back in the days, you know, because I think I could have, you know, be there more. But that's the way I see it. I just wanted, my mind was, I'm going to get this money. I'm going to give my children the life they want to live. And I didn't grow up with shoes like that. So I'm going to give them all the shoes they need. And it's the Jordans, and, you know, you was a baby dressing up in Timberlands and jeans. I do all that thing because I wanted you to get the things that I didn't have. But it's the way I go about getting it at the time. You know what I mean? To me, it was irresponsible. So, but I thank God because His hand was in it. Because as I said, when I was going to do what I need to do, I still prayed.
Okay, so we do have a picture of what your past life was like. Now I want you to answer, who is God to you now? And I want you to tell me when that became your reality. When did He become whatever He is to you? When did He become that to you?
Yeah. Now I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable. But it's funny. It's funny how God do things, because believe it or not, there was I still wasn't living as responsible that I should, but there was something pulling me away from the life that I was living, and I didn't know what it is. You know what I mean? And so my encounter with God in the real way wasn't the traditional way. It was like an argument. I don't know how to explain this, but one day I was just sitting in my room, and I'm the type you know, when I can support my children, it really messes me up. You know what I mean? It really messes with me. When I can support them financially, when Christmas is coming and I'm like, that thing, it bothers me a lot. And so in that time, while I was still messing around, I tried, and everything that I had got stolen. And it was Christmas time, right? And so I was living in LA at the time, and I just get this apartment, and everything was fine. My money was fine. Everything was fine. I'm looking good. I'm looking like this Christmas is going to be the best one yet. You know what I mean? And so, at that time I was dealing in drugs, it just to be a little in depth. And so I'm like, all right, I have this money, nice money. It could have given my children and myself a nice Christmas. But in that game, there's always greed. There's always the hunger and the thirst for more. And so I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make one more run to try to turn this money that I have, double it. That was the idea. But anyway, I tried that and I lost everything. I just get this apartment. I went to furniture store looking at the bed I'm going to buy, everything I'm going to put into this apartment. But for the time being, let me put a blow up bed inside this apartment. And, when this thing come back, I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to do this big shopping. I'm going to put the TV on the wall. I'm going to just do my thing. But that didn't work. They take everything. And so they take everything. And I tried and I tried and I tried. But I couldn't get back to where I wanted to be. It just wasn't working. Now that I look back at it, I learned that when God has his hand in your life, he will take everything away from you just to get your attention. That's what I get out of all of it, now that I'm looking back. In the time when I was in it, I wasn't seeing none of that. All I was seeing is like, okay, it's a wrap now. I know everybody that took from me. And I know where everybody lived that took from me. So my old plan in my head is getting dark. And so I couldn't get up off the blow up bed. The blow up bed got a hole in it. And so every morning I'm getting up off this bed, I'm flat on this ground. And embarrassment start to comes in. I'm getting angrier and angrier as the day goes by. And things is just not changing. I'm calling people. They change their number on me. They have my money. They're not answering. When I do get in touch with them by other channels, they change again. They tell me lies. So I'm like, all right, cool. So the enemy came into my mind, and I started to devise a plan. Let me not be mad, act like I'm mad at these people. Let me act like everything is cool because I want to catch these people. You know what I mean? And so at the time, I couldn't pay the rent no more, and I didn't want to come back to y'all because I'm like, here I go again, walking in this house with my children looking at their daddy, and I'm coming back broke as a joke. Not a little broke. Like real broke. Like no money broke type of thing. And I couldn't do that. And so I decided to come to my mom in Michigan. Because I would be like, all right, let me rebuild from there. You know what I mean? But my rebuilding was an old, totally different plan. I wasn't planning on, I was just like, all right, y'all want my children to see that I'm a bum. I'm going to give my children a reason. Like real stupid thinking. I'm going to get everybody that robbed me. And I'm going to decide my mind, already decided in my mind to say, I'm going to do this whole life sentence. Whatever the outcome is going to come out of this, I made up my mind to do it. Because y'all took from me, and this is the last time y'all going to take from me and my children. And so I know where everybody lived. And so I get back in touch with majority of everybody, and I'm talking to them like everything is fine. But I'm developing in my own mind, my own scheme to say, I ain't got to hunt that hard. I'm going to just come and I'm going to get everybody. And 9 out of 10, I know I'm going to go down for this. And I'm going to go down for a long time, but I make up in my mind. So while I'm at my mom's house, I'm thinking these things. And my encounter with God now becomes one day I woke up and I can't feel the back of my head. Like it's numb. Now that I understand now that people saying that was high blood pressure, I didn't know what that is. All I know is I can't feel the back of my head. If I smack my head, I can't feel nothing. You know, and so I'm talking with God. Not talking. I'm arguing with God. Not arguing with God to say, get me out of this or this, that, and the third. I'm arguing with God to say, you messing my lifestyle up, man. You know, I was here, no, I'm not there. I'm at my mom's house. I'm a grown man. That type of argument I was with God. Me and God in this room arguing like, if you open the door and come in, you'll be wondering, who am I talking to? And so I'm arguing back and forth. And I hear this word in my voice, this voice in the back of my head say, go to church with your mom. Just go to church with your mom. And so in my ignorance, I said, okay. But when I go to church, I have this on my mind. The pastor got to say this, that on my mind, this on my mind. This is how I know God is real. There is nobody in this world can tell me different because I had my own experience. I went to church with my mom. And everything that I think, that's what the pastor is saying. And I was still so stubborn in my mind that I have some more stuff on my mind. Like I'm putting God to the test. You know, like Gideon saying, all right, if you are God, let this, what was it? Let this rug wet.
The fleece wet.
Yeah, this fleece wet and nothing around it. And then it was like, hey, I see you did it, but this time, make the floor wet and not the fleece, right? So that's the kind of thing I was on with God. All right. Maybe it's just a coincidence. You got that one. Maybe it's just a coincidence. And and I say these things. And every time I go, because at that time there was Tuesday night Bible study. I'm going with my mom. It was Sunday service and they have a Friday night service. And everything I have in my mind, every time I go, this man is talking what is in my head. I remember after a while, I'm saying to myself, yeah, and I want to go to a church where they have a gym. Do you know where I work out now?
The church. The
church have a gym. Even that was, and he talked about that in that time. And I was like, all right. This is not coincidence. This is God talking. And so at that time, I was still drinking, I was still smoking, And so every time I have an encounter at the church, I go to the liquor store and I come in, I'm lighting up, drinking, smoking, and talking to God. Like, what happened today? That type of conversation. So I hear different testimonies of how people get to God. You know, my leader, my pastor, he locked himself in a church. Locked himself in a church and cry out to God from the crawling on his hand and his feet, back and forth, asking God to save him. And by the next day, he was saved. So I hear different testimonies. That wasn't my testimony. I wasn't calling on call. I was like, God, I see you at about 60, 65-ish. I wasn't trying to go now. I was trying to still live my life. But God intervened, and I had that experience with God. And it's been 6 years now, and I'm loving it. I think it's the best 6 years. I think it's the best years of my life. My whole entire life, I think this 6 years is the best years of my life. So that's how I come in an encounter with God. Not surrendering like the regular person. I was actually arguing with this God of mine. And he's God. He could have turned and slapped me right down right there. But he said, no, I'm going to have mercy on you and I'm going to save you. So that's my encounter.
Okay, so you mentioned that you went with your mom that day that you couldn't feel the back of your head. But what kept you going back to the Tuesday Bible studies and Friday night service? What kept you going back?
The pastor keep talking my business. I'm like, I want to see if this is for real, for real. I never doubted that God was for real. I grew up on God. I prayed when I was doing wrong. When I am going to do wrong, I prayed. God, I know this is not right, but I'm asking you to save me. But I'm going into this house, but I'm asking you, please don't let them kill me. I'm praying while I'm going. So I know God is real, but this encounter, but what I'm saying, and God was having this man saying word for word what I'm thinking in my mind. And my mom couldn't tell him anything because I wasn't telling her anything. All I heard was go to church with your mom. And that's how that happened.
Okay, so how does it make you feel? Because at this point, you know that it's specific to you. Because every time you go back, the Lord is speaking directly to you. So how does it make you feel that the God of all gods, the Lord of all lords is coming for you specifically? How did that make you feel at the time, and how does it make you feel now?
Well, at the time, it was a little scary. It was a little scary. But to tell you the truth, it restored my hope. It restored my hope because because I'm the type of person, when my mind is made up, my mind is made up. It might take me a while to get there, but when my mind is made up, my mind is made up. And my mind was made up to go get these people. And I think God knows that. He knows that. You know, we could say it all the time. Oh, yeah, this, that. But he knows when your mind was really made up. And I didn't think that's the purpose he had for me. He didn't want me to go that route. So I think that's why he intervened the way he intervenes. But the experience was scary, but scary awesome. Because it gives me hope again. You know what I mean? It gives me hope, like he for real. You know what I mean? And so it didn't take me, even though this man was saying what he's saying, I didn't give in right away. You know, I didn't give in right away. I was still wrestling because, you know, I met somebody at the time and we was out there in the world having a good time. And I was like, I know how this works. If I come, I got to leave what I got. And I didn't want to do that because I don't know when he's going to provide that for me again, you know. And I'm a transparent person. I'm not ashamed of it. You know, up to this day, I'm a celibate man for 6 years now. You know what I'm saying? And so that was the scary part for me. Was like, all right, I hear you though, but what up with Shorty though?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're gonna
change her too.
Yeah, what's gonna happen here? Well, that didn't work. You know what I mean? And so I've been celibate ever since. But he kept me. You know, he kept me, and I'm loving it. I really am.
All right, so then I'm going to bring it back to our original question. So earlier I asked you who was God to you during your childhood. So now I want you to talk about who is God to you now and how is he different from the God that you knew growing up?
All right. God to me now is, you know, people, it's easy to say God is my everything. God is my, you know, but God to me now is my friend. God to me now is my peace, the one that surpasses all understanding. God to me now is my door. God to me now is my confidence. God to me now is my surety, like I am. Not iffy. It's like I am sure with God. Like sure, like really sure with God. Like the enemy would try to come in my ear even just a few weeks ago and just say to me like, yeah, you're never gonna be married, bro. The enemy, and I was believing it. Not even for a few months, you know. He said you, and I was thinking, and like maybe I deserve it because the enemy was saying, all them broken hearts you done left, them trailer broken hearts you done left, bro, and expect you to be, and I gotta go to God, and God was like, no, that's not me. What you talking about? I'm not gonna keep reminding you what I take and throw into the sea of unforgetfulness. Why would I still hold you to the thing that I forgave you for? And so I realized the enemy have slight little tricks like that. And even in my 6 years, and I'm a true believer of God, I was feeling some kind of way because I was like, yeah, kind of in my whole entire life, you know what I mean? And I have hurt people that I still pray for today, for God to heal their hearts, you know? And so God said that wasn't him. And so that's what God is to me. The one that keeps reminding me, saying, oh no, that's not what I have for you. This is what I have for you. That's who God is to me. The one that says, I have opened my patience. I have surety in my patience. I know I'm not waiting in vain in my patience. And the thing is, I am literally looking, because they say God never fails. I'm looking, because see, all right, fail me, let me see it. I want to be the first. I want to be the first to say, guess what? God failed. I put him to that test. I know what he is to me. He is my everything. He is the one that give me my family back. He give me my family back. I'm gonna say this before I hand the mic back to you. Remember my birthday?
Mm-hmm.
You remember my testimony about my birthday?
Mm-hmm.
I prayed for that.
Tell the people.
I prayed that one day I would be sitting either in my house or in church. This is my vision that I have. I prayed. I said, God, I would one day either sitting in my house and my door knocked and see all my kids, or I would be in church and see all my children walk in. And on my birthday last year, God gave me that gift. I was sitting in church and I was a little upset because I'm like, when is these people going to say happy birthday to I'm saying? But God is so good that he didn't even allow me to say, what's going, is this a trick? He didn't even allow me to think that I don't know. Sometimes I believe you were like, yeah, I'm going to let you stay in your anger, bro, because it's going to block you from seeing other stuff. And so I was a little angry. You know what I mean? And that day, I see all y'all walked in that day. And, you know, I start bawling. I wasn't even crying. I start bawling, you know, because it's not just seeing y'all coming. It's seeing that he answers prayers for real, for real, for real. You know what I mean? And so I prayed for that, and I see God make that happen. And I believe God give me back my relationship with my children. That not that we lost it, because I never hear y'all denied me or anything like that. But I felt like I lose my children. And I feel that day God re-gifted me my children back when all y'all walk in the church. One of the greatest days of my life. I'm still celebrating that today.
Okay. So if you could give advice to your younger self or anybody that is like your younger self, what would you tell them?
That's a good question. Don't chase nothing. Don't chase nothing. Because to chase something, that means something is always running. You know, and you got to keep chasing it. You know, I would tell my younger self, bro, be a person of value. Be a person of impact. Be a person of value. Be valuable. And when you are valuable, then you ain't got to chase nothing. It all comes to you because of your value. You know what I mean? And I hear this, I don't know, I think it's Miles Monroe or one of them. It's not my quote, just get it like that. It don't matter where the apple or the mango tree is. We will never see a mango tree in the supermarket. You always see mangoes though, but you never really see the tree. You know, unless they have it in the back somewhere selling it for you to go plant it at your house or something. But you will never see the tree with the mangoes on it. But you will always see the mangoes. And it doesn't matter where you plant the tree. As long as it is producing mangoes, somebody is going to find it. And if nobody find it, it shakes the mangoes off and it chills and it waits for its next season to bear again. You know what I mean? And so I will just tell my younger self, dude, don't chase nothing. Seek purpose. Then you work in your purpose and then become that person of value. And then whomever or whatever, they will find you. Life will find you. Purpose will find you. Money will find you. Whatever you need will find you because you are now a person of value and somebody needs it. That's what I would tell my younger self.
What do you mean by personal value?
A person of value is be good at your purpose of what you are called to do. You know, if you're a doctor, you're a doctor. People are always gonna need a doctor. You know what I mean? If you are if whatever you do, be the best at that. But just know that it's your. You know, some of us are in skills or in work or in a job or whatever we are doing and don't like it at all. Because, you know, they base life around money all the time. Oh, you got to do what you got to do to get this money. You know what I mean? You got to do what you do. And so we forgot the purpose, the vision that God put inside of us, what he wants to use. And so when we find out what he wants to use, and then that's what we harness. That's what we work on. That's what we become. Then that's, to me, is your value. You could be the richest CEO at 500 what? Forbes, one of them. But if you're not comfortable in your job, if you are unhappy in your job, what purpose is that? If you keep getting high blood pressure because of your job, what purpose is that? You know what I mean? You're doing it for what? To die? You know what I mean? So I believe it's best to find what God called you for. And don't get me wrong, have a job, but work on your purpose. Work on what God. We all on earth for God's purpose. Find out what His purpose is for you. Some is singing. You know me, I tried singing.
That's not it.
It's not it. Even I can tell myself that. Ooh, if I could sing. You know me, if I could sing, I wouldn't talk. I would just be singing. What? There's a song competition? I'm in. Ooh, they singing at church? Ooh, I'm in. Oh, you doing a solo? I'm in. I'm just gonna sing. If I could sing. That's not my calling, though. That's not my calling. So I'm just saying, harness the gift that God gives to you. That's the prayer I would tell my younger self to do first. God, show me my purpose. Show me what you have for me. Your will. Show me what your will is for me, and then let me work on that. Even if I'm at McDonald's working, even if I'm at a Fortune 500 company working, show me my purpose so I could start tapping into that and work on that. So that's what I mean by that.
All right. So the title of this podcast is My Reason Why, where we explore the reason why believers believe what they believe. Dad, what is your reason why?
I believe what I believe because of my experience. I've experienced it myself, and I always believed it, but experiencing it is a totally different thing. I'll share this story. It was one of my down days. And I don't talk about my past that often because it includes jail and all that carrying on. But I'm just being transparent. I was caught up in that situation where I was locked up. And I was stressed out. I would do good. I was stressed out, and to be bailed out, it's a lot of money, and I didn't have it. You know what I mean? And at that time, God showed me a vision. I wasn't saved, but He showed me a vision like a whole bunch of marbles. If you throw a whole bunch of marbles up, normally one stays in the middle spinning and everything else just scatters away to the side. And that's how I feel. I just feel like I was the marble spinning and everybody just scattered and leave me by myself. And so it was a tough time for me. And so I was stressing. It was so tough. I got in a fight into the TV room over a seat. Over a seat, man. And and that day I was like, you know what, I'm stressing too much. And so I wasn't saved or nothing. So I make up in my mind that I'm a fast. And this is the fast I went on. I'm just not gonna eat none of this food. I'm gonna get these sour apples they have, these oranges that I think it's lemons. They're not sweet at all. You know what I mean? And so that's how I said it. And water. And so every time when it's breakfast, I gave my breakfast away. And then I will take the whomever I'm giving it to, I'll take their fruits. It's lunchtime, I'll do the same thing and I'll take everybody fruits. Dinner, the same thing, and I would just go back in my cell and close the thing and lock myself in. And I would just pray and I would read the Bible. That's when I know most of the Bible, because when I was growing up, all I read was Psalms. Every now and again I would read a proverb. But this time I was in Joshua. I found out Jacob's name was Israel. I didn't even know these things. You know what I'm saying? Because I thought the 12th tribe of Israel was 12th tribe from the land of Israel. I didn't know it was Jacob's name. So I start learning stuff by just reading. And and I'm worshiping. I'm not saved. I never declared Christ. I just said I'm a fast, I'm going to read my Bible, and every 3 hours I get up and pray. Every 3 hours. So I do from 6, 9, and it goes on, right? And one day, I was sleeping, and I get a vision and a visit from Christ in my dream. And I was trying to talk, and I was speaking in tongues in my dream, in a cell. That was my first ever encounter that I ever have with myself. And I wasn't declared, because when I get out, it's not like I went to church. I went back right to, you know what I mean? But that was an experience I have that I've never had that before. My reason why is because I experienced God for myself.